back to your Bachelorette recap. I'm Elena.
I'm Amanda.
And today we are covering week 4 of The Bachelorette. So, starting off this episode, it carries on from last week when Eric was yelling at Iggy and Lee because there was a bunch of drama, you know, like
His name was in their mouth.
my name's in your mouth. Yeah, that whole thing. So it carried on from that, and it just kind of flashes to like a scene of Lee walking away from it and him saying how he loves to get the guys all riled up and, you know, causing a ruckus. After Lee says this, it shows him that he's walking over to Rachel, who is talking to Kenny at the time. They're having their little one-on-one time at the cocktail party, and he's like trying to interrupt them and get in there, and Kenny's like, dude, just give me a second, like I've been here for literally like less than a minute. And he's like, okay, so he stands by and he's just watching. So
And he's like counting.
yeah, he's like counting on his fingers, real childish. Eventually, Kenny walks away and Lee sneaks in there. He gave Rachel a block of wood that he carved Enchanted on with his grandfather's like army knife or something, and he said that this might mean a lot to her. I don't know if that's like an inside thing or what that means, but okay. So after that goes down, Kenny's kind of upset about it because he's like, I felt like I kind of had a friendship with Lee, and he's just kind of sneaking his way in there, and, you know, maybe he's trying to get me weak and off guard so he can have more time with Rachel, because Lee already talked to her previously that night. So Kenny and Lee end up getting into an argument after Lee is done talking with Rachel, and
It's pretty loud.
yeah, very loud, because Kenny's pissed. He's like, you know, what the hell? And it shows Rachel talking to Bryce, and she's like, well, what's that going on? Bryce is like, oh, I think that's Kenny, and she kind of gets taken back by that because she doesn't know that side of Kenny, and she's like, I don't know him to be that way. It does make Rachel very upset. She doesn't go over there and like break it up or anything, but she does start crying, which was so hard to watch. I wanted to cry. But she's just like, there's so much pressure, and now the guys are fighting. This isn't the way I wanted the night to go. And she just talks about the pressure of being like an African American bachelorette, like the first one. She feels like, you know, she should make certain decisions, and she feels like people are going to disagree with her, but it is her journey, so it's her right to do so. Chris Harrison comes in, and he's like, look, you know, whatever you want to do, I can make it happen, because, you know, I kind of run this show, basically. And she decides to skip the rest of the cocktail party and go straight to the rose ceremony.
Yeah, it's done.
It's over.
She had enough. So, the guys who got roses were Will, Dean, Jonathan, Peter, Adam, Bryce, Matt, Lee, Josiah, Jack, Iggy, and Kenny. Alex, Eric, and Anthony already had a rose from their dates, so they were safe. So, sadly, our Diggy went home.
So sad.
Then Bryce and Brady. I mean, they never really showed anything, so you kind of get the feeling that
They're going to go home.
yeah, they're not going to be there too long. But I was very sad about Diggy going home. I really thought that there might have been something there. So after the rose ceremony, the next day they went, I think they ended up going to Hilton Head.
Yeah, Hilton Head, South Carolina.
And there they got the first date card, and it was a one-on-one, and Dean got the one-on-one. So Dean and Rachel, they drive down, I don't know, they're in the car for a while. And
Yeah, they're like in the middle of a field.
Yeah, they end up in the middle of the field, and they're sitting on top of the Jeep, and they're drinking champagne and just, you know, talking. And all of a sudden they see a blimp. over the trees, and it's coming closer and closer. And she tells a story about when she was younger, how she loved the blimps, and she would always go, "It's a bimp, it's a bimp." And it was cute. It just kept coming closer and closer. And Dean's face like went white. He's like, "Is this part of our date? Are we getting on that?" Because he's terrified of heights. He was like, "Will you please hold my hand the whole time?"
Are you excited? You're scared.
I'm terrified of heights. The last thing I ever saw myself doing was riding in a blimp today. I'm a little bit scared.
They get on, and he's really nervous. And she was like, "It's okay. It's like riding a bus."
In the sky.
Like, what? Nothing like riding a bus. But she tries to make him comfortable, of course. And so they're up in the air. They're flying for a little bit. And then Rachel gets up and sits next to the captain and starts to fly the blimp. Now, Dean is terrified.
He's freaking out at this point.
He said that every time she went, like, down a little bit, it took years off of his life. It was like, no. And then she was like, "Okay, it's your turn, Dean." And so he did get in there, and he was really nervous, and he was looking for the seatbelt, and she started laughing at him because of that. She's like, "You're really looking for the seatbelt?" And he's like, no, I'm fine.
Were you looking for the seatbelt?
No, I'm not worried about it.
And then so he starts to fly it. He was having so much fun then.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of like, forgot about everything. And he was like, "I'm a blimp pilot." He was so excited. So while they were flying in the blimp, after they each had their turn flying it, they went past the hotel that all the men were at, and they come out and they're like, "What's that? What's going on?" And there's words going across, and it says, "Rachel and Dean are in here." And then it says, "Rachel and Dean forever." And the guys are like,
I'm not watching this.
I'm not going to look at that. So then they go to dinner after that, Rachel and Dean, and she wants to find out more about him. And, they cut to the men talking about how they think Dean is too young for Rachel.
Yeah, he is the youngest in the house at 25,
Yeah.
which I don't think that's a bad age. I mean, there's been younger people on the show than that.
Yeah, I mean, she also had concerns about if he was really ready to, marry and have children. But I think
He
he's
seems
pretty
mature.
So they were talking about his childhood and her childhood, and they both grew up pretty religious. They had that in common, and he told her a story about his mother passing away when he was 15. He found out at the age of 9 that his mom had breast cancer, and she went into remission when he was 11, but then sadly it came back when he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in hospice, and he asked her, "So Mom, when are you coming home?" And she tells him, "Never." So sad. Yeah. So sad. So then his dad comes in and lets him know that sadly his mom had passed away, and the dad is really upset, and he's just kind of in shock. And he said shortly after that his siblings moved away, and his dad was busy doing other things, and so he was basically alone most of the time between the ages of 15 and 18. And he got emotional.
Yeah, and she was trying not to get so emotional because she knew he was crying and hurting, so she said she was trying to stay strong for him.
But, in the interview where she was stating that she was crying, she's like, "It's so sad." But after the sadness. Spirits were lifted, and after dinner they went to a Russell Dickerson concert, and they were dancing and kissing and having a great time. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, it ultimately like brought them closer together, which is what Rachel wanted. So of course he got the rose.
Yes. He's one of our four.
One of our faves. So after the first date comes the group date card, and everyone but Jack was on the list. So it was Alex, Anthony, Peter, Brian, Jonathan, Adam, Matt, Kenny, Lee, Iggy, Will, and Josiah. The way the date started is they all met on this dock and they were getting onto this boat. And it was really casual at first. There was just like, you know, like dance battles going on. They were like freestyle rapping.
I'm looking for commitment. This girl, she's something different. I ain't telling you anything crazy, but yeah, I just sitting here spitting. I can tell you something real from my heart, or I can tell you something fake like a fart. It don't smell that real good, but I know she's a girl from the hood.
I love that.
I definitely have the best rap.
I learned later that Rachel actually did a freestyle and we didn't get to hear it, so I'm wondering where that footage is, because I want to see it.
They better show that like at the end of an episode.
Yeah, seriously. And then Josiah came in and he's acting all big and bad, like, ooh, I can do push-ups with you on my back. I can do 30.
Next game is a push-up contest.
I can do 30 with you on my back. What's 30?
And he only ended up doing like 20. Yeah.
She was
Whatever.
like, "What?"
Yeah. So after that, they get off the boat and they come to the main part of the date, which is a spelling bee. And I thought this looked like a really fun date. She wanted to see, you know, what their intelligence level was, how good they are at spelling. And Eric was being a little crybaby about it, like he is about everything else. I felt like I just watched Eric cry the whole time. But they're all lining up, getting on stage, and some of them had a little bit difficulty, like really early on too.
Yeah, so they're all walking on the stage, and the first to go up to spell is Adam. And they pan to the audience, and guess who's there? It's the damn doll. Adam Jr. is in the audience. He will never leave. I have a feeling that if Adam does leave the show, I think Adam Jr. might still make an appearance.
Yeah, he'll somehow be in there.
After Adam, his word was squirt. Now, they had 3 little girls judging this spelling bee, and these grown men are up there just dying laughing, and they're like, can you use that in a sentence? And she's like, something about a squirt of lime, and they're still up there losing it. Anyways, he spelled that right, so he got to move on. The next person was Alex. His word was passion, and he got it correct. Jonathan was caress. He got his right. Anthony was schmuck. He got his right. Will had euphoric, and he got it right. Kenny had champagne. Now, Kenny had all the letters.
So close.
He just got the G in the end mixed up. So Kenny was the first one out, unfortunately. And then Iggy was up next. He had boudoir, and he was out. Then it was Eric. I don't remember his word. He got out. Adam, he got out. Peter. Now this one, Chris Harris was like, okay, girls, we need you to put your headphones on so you can't hear anything. And I'm thinking, what the hell are they gonna
Yeah,
have to
like,
spell?
geez, what are they saying?
So he's like, your word is coitus. Okay, they probably
don't know what that is.
so he goes to spell it, and he starts out QU, and the girls just hit their little bells. So he's out. Josiah, he got his right. Anthony got his wrong. Will got his wrong. So Josiah was the winner. And he got this big trophy. And he was just carrying that around and just kissing on it. And he just
we got an
loved
extra long scene of him talking to his trophy and kissing it.
And after the spelling bee, we have the after
party date.
Yeah.
After date party.
After date party. And some drama was going down there. We thought the day was going so smooth, so great. But Iggy goes in to talk to Rachel, and he's just feeling so protective of her, and you know, he's like, I just feel so protective of you, and you know, I just think that you should know that Josiah is a different person when he's around you. Mm-hmm. And so basically throwing him under the bus, kind of like
he did with Eric.
Yeah.
So after he's done talking with Rachel, he goes up to Josiah
Sits down.
Yeah, sits down. Hey, buddy. And he goes, just to let you know, like, I just talked about you to Rachel, and Josiah's like, why are you talking about me? And Eric's there, so he's like, oh, okay, so here we go. Just like last week, again. Iggy's starting shit.
Deja vu.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, though, when Iggy and Rachel were talking, I didn't feel like there was anything there between them. Like, I didn't feel like she felt anything other than just a friendship with him. Yeah. But that's just me.
So the other person in the house that also has bad blood with almost everybody now, Lee.
He's just stirring the pot.
Yeah. And so Rachel goes over and talks to him about Kenny, because obviously she was upset about it earlier, and she's like, look, what's going on? And he was just like, Kenny's so aggressive, he just came after me, he's yelling at me, he's shouting at me, I don't even know why. And Lee knows exactly what he's doing, because the little cut scenes of him is like, oh, I love smiling at a man, it makes him so angry, and he's just egging it on.
He knows what he's doing.
Exactly. So she talks to him about the situation, and then she goes to Kenny to kind of get his side of the story.
They spend the whole time talking about Lee and Kenny, their argument, and you know, afterwards when she walked away, Kenny was like, man, I wish we didn't spend all that time talking about that. I really wanted her to get to know me better and for us to have our relationship grow. And he's like, man, I just feel like she might be in his corner. Like, he didn't feel like, you know,
he didn't feel like her mind was like changed any from when she talked to Lee, so he just felt like it didn't do anything, and he wasted all that time talking to her about it.
I don't know, man, I'm also up right now because, like, I spent most of my time with Rachel, which I had intended on, like, growing a relationship and, like, trying to, like, assuade her that I'm not some aggressive, dangerous human, which is absurd. I'm big on body language, man, and I'm big on, like, reading people, and her body language was very much, like, in Lee's corner, and it messed me up. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but bro, I just legitimately felt like nothing I said made a dent in how she felt about me because of what this little son of a bitch said. Lee's a liar, a fabricator. He's an alternative facts piece of garbage. He lives in alternative facts, and it sucks that, like, someone like that has got me in this spot because of, like, I go home, I'm gonna feel real up about this entire process. It's just whack, bro. Like, it's trash. It's trash. There's no aggression without action. Aggression without action is talk, is it not? Aggressive is when you attack somebody, B. If you look at the film, watch the tape, I was 10 feet away from this guy.
So Kenny ends up mad again because of this whole situation. He's lost time talking with Rachel now, and he pulls Lee aside again. Probably not the best thing when people are starting to say you're aggressive, but he's mad.
All the men are like, oh my god, I think there's going to be a fight. I just feel it. I just feel there's going to be a fight.
And then, of course, in the previews, now we see, like, Kenny's got blood on his eyes. So I'm like, great, are they going to get in a fight? But then we find out they're going to be on a 2-on-1 next week. And I have no idea how that's going to go.
I don't know who she's going to choose. Like, she better choose Kenny.
I don't know if she's going to choose. I feel like she'll send both of them home.
I know. I'm so scared for Kenny. But, you know, I just have this feeling Kenny, he may be our favorite, but I just don't know if he's going to last. It doesn't seem like anybody with drama surrounding them lasts.
Right.
And then, you know, I haven't seen a contestant win who has a child. So I'm nervous for Kenny, but we have 2 episodes next week, so we will have 2 videos uploaded next week. Hopefully a lot sooner than we have this one uploaded. Apologize for that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So next week is going to be full of drama.
And next week, we'll actually be able to see Jack's 1-on-1 because we didn't get to see it this week.
Totally forgot about that.
But next week should be full of drama with those 2 episodes, so be sure to tune in.
Yes, and give this video a like, subscribe, comment down below who's your favorite guy if they're still here.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.